Ambassador Elias Reed couldn't remember which species it was that had no concept of humor. The Ardvari? The Xel'Naga? Possibly the Turellians with their binary cortical functions. Whoever it was, he was pretty sure they were about to declare war on humanity because of a sneeze. What I'm saying, Elias continued, addressing the circular chamber of the Galactic Council, is that accidental expulsion of bodily fluids is not considered an act of aggression under Section 47B of the Interstellar Diplomatic Code that you all ratified. He emphasized the last words while dabbing his nose with a handkerchief. The council chamber on Nexus Station hummed with the translator modules working overtime. 12 distinct species of senior ambassadors sat in their environmentally customized pods, their expressions ranging from what Elias interpreted as disgust to outright terror. The 13th pod, the one belonging to humanity, felt uncomfortably warm. Counselor Vexare of the Malkavian Confederation, a being composed primarily of crystalline lattices that refracted light in hypnotic patterns, vibrated in what the translation module interpreted as extreme distress. You released approximately 3.7 million microorganisms into a shared atmospheric environment, Vexare's melodic voice reverberated through the chamber. By Malkavian law, this constitutes an act of biological warfare. Elias pinched the bridge of his nose. 3 standard galactic hours of this nonsense was giving him a migraine. Or maybe it was the recycled air of Nexus Station, notorious for causing respiratory issues in humans. For the last time, I had an allergic reaction to Counselor Xintao's ceremonial pollen offering. I covered my mouth. I used a filtering cloth. He waved his handkerchief like a white flag. It was an involuntary biological function. Involuntary? The gelatinous mass that was Ambassador Gore of the Volus hegemony undulated with skepticism. Your species can control interplanetary spacecraft but not your own emissions. Convenient excuse, human. The chamber's AI moderator, a shimmering blue hologram shaped vaguely like a humanoid, raised its luminescent hand. The chair recognizes Counselor Tekka of the Ardvari technocracy. The insectoid Ardvari representative clicked forward in their exoskeleton. Despite having evolved on a high-gravity world with atmospheric pressure that would crush human bones, the Ardvari were known throughout the galaxy as the most reasonable diplomats. Elias felt a flicker of hope. Our xenobiological database, Tekka began, mandibles clicking between words, confirms that human sneezing is indeed involuntary. However, the deliberate introduction of human microbiota into a controlled xenospecies environment violates 17 separate quarantine protocols. The hope died. Elias fought the urge to sneeze again out of pure stress. The Yith Collective votes for immediate military action, announced the telepathic cloud of neural particles that represented the oldest spacefaring civilization in the known galaxy. Human biology is fundamentally incompatible with galactic society. Now wait just a, Elias started, but the council chamber erupted into overlapping voices, clicks, telepathic broadcasts, and pheromone releases. His assistant, Sasha Novak, leaned over and whispered, "Sir, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Earth. The Malkavians have mobilized their quantum fleet at the edge of our solar system." Elias blanched. "That's impossible. I just sneezed 3 hours ago. And the Volus have withdrawn all trade agreements," Sasha continued, scrolling through her datapad. "The Ardvari have shut down all wormhole access to human space. The Yith are. I don't know what the Yith are doing, but 7 of our research outposts just vanished." "Over a sneeze?" Elias hissed. "It wasn't just a sneeze, Ambassador," said a quiet voice that somehow cut through the chaotic chamber. The room fell silent as Counselor Xintao of the Vecanaar Ascendancy rose from her pod. The tall, willowy being with iridescent skin and eyes that reflected the entirety of space looked directly at Elias. The Vecanaar were the first alien species humans had encountered, nearly 70 years ago. They were also the only ones who had bothered to study human physiology beyond basic containment protocols. Ambassador Reed released a substance containing human DNA fragments, viable cellular material, and compounds unknown to our xenobiologists, Xintao stated. By 17 different legal systems represented in this council, that constitutes an act of biological warfare. By 5 others, including my own, it is considered an unauthorized attempt at genetic colonization. Genetic colonization? Elias sputtered. It was mucus. A collective shudder ran through the chamber. The Vecanaar ascendancy will not be declaring war, Xintao continued, her voice calm. We surrender. A stunned silence fell over the council. You, what? Elias managed. We surrender to humanity, effective immediately, Xintao repeated. And I recommend all other species do the same, for their own survival. The chamber erupted again. Elias shot a bewildered look at Sasha, who appeared equally confused. Counselor Xintao, the AI moderator interjected, please clarify your statement for the record. The Malkavian Confederation also surrenders, Vexare announced suddenly, crystalline structure pulsing with patterns Elias had never seen before. Was that fear? One by one, in rapid succession, 9 more species declared their immediate and unconditional surrender to humanity. Only the Ardvari remained silent, their compound eyes fixed on Elias with what might have been calculation. This is insane, Elias whispered to Sasha. Get me a direct line to the Secretary General. Now. Sir, Sasha replied, her face pale as she looked up from her datapad. 11 fleets have entered Earth orbit. They're lowering their shields and powering down weapons systems. The AI moderator's hologram flickered. The chair recognizes that 11 members of the Galactic Council have officially surrendered to humanity. Does Earth's ambassador wish to dictate terms? Elias stood frozen, mouth agape. He'd spent 6 years in diplomatic training, 3 years as junior ambassador to the Vecanaar, and 18 months as humanity's representative to the Galactic Council. Nothing had prepared him for this. He began, then noticed Counselor Tekka of the Ardvari moving toward the center of the chamber, exoskeleton clicking ominously. The Ardvari technocracy does not surrender, Tekka announced, mandibles spread wide. We declare war on humanity, effective immediately. Xintao's silvery eyes widened. Counselor Tekka, I strongly advise against. The Ardvari have analyzed the biological sample, Tekka continued. We know what humans are. What they have always been. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. And what exactly do you think we are? Tekka's compound eyes reflected the chamber's light in fractals. The ancient destroyers. The ones who consume. The genetic devourers. Sasha gripped Elias's arm. Sir, what are they talking about? I have no idea, he murmured, but a knot formed in his stomach. There had always been rumors in diplomatic circles, whispers about why the Vecanaar had been so eager to establish peaceful contact with Earth, why the Galactic Council had fast-tracked humanity's membership despite their relative technological immaturity. You knew, Elias said slowly, looking at Xintao. That's why you surrendered so quickly. What do you know about humans that I don't? Xintao's expression was unreadable. It is not what we know, Ambassador Reed. It is what we remember. Before Elias could press further, the chamber's emergency systems activated, bathing everything in red light. The AI moderator's hologram expanded. Multiple Ardvari vessels have entered the Nexus Station exclusion zone with weapons active, it announced. Defensive protocols engaged. Tekka, stop this madness. Vexare vibrated intensely. You cannot win against them. We have prepared for this eventuality for millennia, Tekka replied. The genetic devourers will not consume us as they did the others. The station shuddered as something impacted the outer shields. Elias grabbed the edge of his pod to steady himself. Counselor Tekka, he shouted over the blaring alarms, I don't know what you think humans are, but we have no hostile intentions toward the Ardvari or any species. Your intentions are irrelevant, human, Tekka clicked. Your biology is your weapon. Your evolution is our extinction. The chamber's secure doors sealed automatically as the station went into full lockdown. Elias found himself trapped with 12 alien representatives, 11 of whom had just surrendered to humanity, and one who seemed determined to wipe out his entire species. And the worst part? He felt another sneeze coming on. "Sasha," he whispered urgently, "I need antihistamines. Now." His assistant fumbled in her bag. "That ceremonial pollen is still in the air. I don't think I brought any." "Find something," Elias hissed, pinching his nose desperately. Xintao glided toward him, silver eyes fixed on his reddening face. "Ambassador Reed, you must understand what is happening. What you are." Elias began, but couldn't finish as his breath hitched. "The Ardvari are right to fear you," Xintao continued, "but wrong to fight. It is too late. It has always been too late." The station rocked again. The lights flickered. Something was very wrong with the artificial gravity. "What are you talking about?" Elias demanded, voice strained as he fought back the impending sneeze. Xintao reached out a four-fingered hand, stopping just short of touching him. "Humans are not what you believe yourselves to be. The evidence is in your cells, in your seemingly chaotic genetic code. In what you just released into our atmosphere. Our DNA." Sasha asked, confused. "What about it?" "It is not original," Xintao said simply. "It is, composite. Accumulated. Consumed and incorporated from thousands of species over millions of years." Elias felt the blood drain from his face. "That's not possible. You carry fragments of genetic code from species that went extinct before your ancestors left their oceans," Xintao continued. "Species that existed across the galaxy, not just on Earth." "That doesn't make any sense," Sasha protested. "Human evolution is well documented." "Is it?" Xintao's expression was almost pitying. "Or have you simply created a narrative that fits the evidence you were capable of gathering?" Another impact rocked the station. The translator modules briefly went offline, filling the chamber with a cacophony of unintelligible alien communications. When they reconnected, Tekka was addressing the council. "Genetic analysis confirms it. Their cellular structure contains absorption mechanisms identical to those in ancient samples. The Ardvari will not become mere genetic memory in their evolutionary path." Elias finally understood. "You think we're some kind of genetic predators? That we somehow consume other species' DNA?" "Not think, Ambassador Reed. No." Xintao's voice was grave. "This is why 11 species surrendered immediately. We recognize the markers in your expelled cellular material. The same markers found in the fossil record of hundreds of extinct species across the galaxy." The station shuddered violently. The AI moderator flickered and announced, "Hull breach detected in sections 14 through 17. Emergency force fields deployed. Evacuation protocols initiated." Elias's mind raced, trying to process what he was hearing while also dealing with the immediate crisis. This is insane. Humans evolved on Earth, in isolation. Did you? Xintao asked. Or were you placed there? Contained? An ancient quarantine for the galaxy's most efficient genetic predator? The final piece clicked into place. Earth's unusual biodiversity, Elias whispered. The mass extinctions in our fossil record were not asteroid impacts or volcanic eruptions, Xintao confirmed. They were consumption events. An Ardvari battle cruiser appeared outside the viewport, its weapon systems targeting the council chamber directly. Elias had seconds to process this revelation before everything went to hell. And then he sneezed. Elias's second sneeze hung in the air like a declaration of doom. The council chamber fell into absolute silence. Even the station's alarms seemed to dim. The Ardvari battlecruiser outside the viewport paused its approach. 11 ambassadors who had already surrendered watched with what Elias could only interpret as horrified fascination. What happened next defied explanation. The sneeze, the actual physical ejection of microscopic human cellular material, seemed to hang suspended in the air. The droplets didn't disperse as they should have. Instead, they hovered, coalesced, and began to glow with a faint blue luminescence. What the hell? Sasha whispered. Counselor Tekka of the Ardvari backed away, mandibles clicking in rapid succession, their species equivalent of panic. Containment breach. Emergency protocols. Xintao moved between Elias and Tekka, her willowy form somehow imposing. It is too late for that, Counselor. The process has begun. What process? Elias demanded, watching as the glowing droplets began to pulse in a rhythmic pattern. Someone explain what's happening. The AI moderator flickered. Unknown biological activity detected. Quarantine protocols engaged. Force fields snapped into place around Elias and Sasha, isolating them from the rest of the chamber. The human pod was now effectively a containment cell. Let us out. Sasha pounded on the invisible barrier. This is a violation of diplomatic immunity. Elias wasn't looking at the force field. His attention remained fixed on his suspended sneeze, which had now formed into a perfect sphere of pulsing blue light. As he watched, tiny filaments of energy began to extend from the sphere toward the nearest council member, Vexare of the Malkavian Confederation. Ambassador Reed, Xintao's voice came through the force field, you must control it. Control what? Elias asked, bewildered. I don't even know what it is. Your genetic material is activating its primary function, Xintao explained, her silver eyes never leaving the pulsing sphere. Seeking. Analyzing. Preparing to incorporate. Incorporate what? Us, Vexare vibrated in resignation as a filament of blue light made contact with their crystalline form. Our genetic uniqueness. Our evolutionary advantages. The filament connecting to Vexare brightened, and to Elias's horror, a small stream of luminescent particles began flowing from the Malkavian toward the central sphere. Stop it! Elias shouted, though at whom or what, he wasn't sure. I don't want to hurt anyone. Your conscious desire is irrelevant, Tekka clicked from the far side of the chamber. This is why we prepared. This is why Earth was quarantined millennia ago. The station rocked again as another impact struck, stronger than before. The lights flickered, and for a moment, the force field around the human pod wavered. Sir, Sasha said urgently, whatever's happening, we need to stop it. The Ardvari are literally bombing a Galactic Council station to kill us. Elias ran a hand through his hair in frustration. How? I didn't even know humans could do, whatever this is. Because you were never meant to know, Xintao said. The quarantine on Earth was designed to isolate your species and suppress this ability. When humans first achieved space travel, measures were taken to ensure you remained unaware of your true nature. But why let us join the Galactic Council at all? Sasha asked. If we're so dangerous? Politics, Vexare answered, their crystalline structure dimming as more particles flowed into the sphere. Some believed it safer to monitor humans closely. Others thought exposure to diverse species might trigger dormant genetic functions prematurely, under controlled conditions. Like now, Elias realized. Another violent impact shook the station. The AI moderator's hologram stuttered. Critical systems failure imminent. Evacuation pods launching automatically. We're out of time, Xintao said. Ambassador Reed, you must make a choice. Accept what you are, or fight it. Elias stared at the growing sphere of light, now connected to 3 different council members by glowing filaments. How? How do I stop it? You cannot stop what you are, Tekka clicked, reaching for what appeared to be a weapon. Only we can. Permanent containment. Sir, Sasha grabbed Elias's arm, the Ardvari are preparing to board the station. Military channel chatter suggests they're bringing some kind of bioweapon. Elias looked from the sphere to Xintao. You said I should control it. How? The process responds to conscious intent from the source organism, Xintao explained. It evolved as a survival mechanism, but your species developed higher consciousness. You can direct it. I don't know how. Elias protested. You must, Xintao insisted. Or the Ardvari will destroy this station and everyone on it to prevent what they believe is the beginning of a consumption event. The sphere had grown larger, its pulsations more rapid. The filaments now connected to 7 different council members, drawing a steady stream of luminescent particles from each. Elias closed his eyes, trying to sense some connection to the phenomenon. Nothing. He felt nothing beyond confusion and growing panic. It's not working, he said. I can't feel anything. Perhaps, Xintao suggested, because you are resisting what you are. A new alarm blared. The AI moderator announced, multiple breaches detected. Boarding parties confirmed in sectors 3, 7, and 12. Security protocols compromised. Elias opened his eyes. He looked at Sasha, at the frightened council members, at the growing sphere that somehow contained the essence of his own cellular material. Then he looked at Tekka, who was now aiming what could only be a weapon directly at him. Wait, he said suddenly. You said humans evolved this ability as a survival mechanism? According to ancient records, yes, Xintao confirmed. And it responds to conscious intent from the source organism? That is our understanding. Elias stepped forward, placing his hand against the force field. Then drop this barrier. Let me try something. Ambassador, Vexare vibrated in alarm, that would allow direct contact between your physical form and the active genetic material. The consequences could be catastrophic. More catastrophic than the Ardvari blowing up this station with all of us on it. Elias countered. We're out of options. Xintao considered for a moment, then nodded. Deactivate the containment field. Override denied, the AI moderator responded. Quarantine protocols require. Emergency override. Xintao Prime, authorization Gamma 7 Epsilon, the Vecanar ambassador interjected. The force field shimmered and disappeared. Elias stepped forward, approaching the pulsing sphere cautiously. The filaments connecting it to various council members wavered but remained intact. Sir, Sasha called from behind him, are you sure about this? Not remotely, Elias replied. But if this thing came from me, maybe it will listen to me. He reached out, hesitating just inches from the sphere's surface. If Xintao is right, and this responds to conscious intent. Elias took a deep breath and plunged his hand into the glowing orb. The sensation was indescribable, like plunging into ice water and fire simultaneously. Information flooded his consciousness, genetic sequences, evolutionary pathways, biological adaptations from a dozen different species. Knowledge buried deep in human DNA, dormant for millennia, suddenly awakened. I can feel them, he gasped. All of them. Their biology, their evolution, everything. The filaments connecting to the council members brightened, and Elias felt a pull, a hunger so primal and overwhelming it threatened to consume his consciousness. The genetic predator within, awakened and ravenous. Don't give in to it, Xintao warned, her voice seeming to come from very far away. Direct it. Control it. Through the haze of alien genetic information flooding his mind, Elias heard the station's alarms blaring. The Ardvari were coming, bringing extinction with them, not just for him, but for everyone on the station. That thought crystallized his focus. Survival. Not just his own, but everyone's. Not consumption, he whispered to the swirling genetic material. Symbiosis. The sphere pulsed in response. The flow of particles from the council members slowed, then reversed. Now, infinitesimal fragments of human genetic material flowed outward, merging with the alien ambassadors. What's happening? Sasha asked, watching as the council members began to glow with the same blue luminescence. I'm not taking from them, Elias managed through gritted teeth. I'm giving. Sharing information. Adaptation. He could feel it working, his conscious intent reshaping the ancient predatory function into something new. Not a weapon of consumption, but a tool of cooperation. The human genetic material wasn't seeking to consume alien DNA, but to exchange information, to find compatibility, to create something new. The station rocked as another explosion tore through a nearby section. The AI moderator's voice distorted, Ardvari boarding parties approaching Central Council chamber. Estimated time to breach, 2 minutes. It's not enough time, Elias realized. The process was working, but too slowly to save them from the approaching Ardvari forces. Then he felt something unexpected, a presence in the genetic exchange. Tekka of the Ardvari, who had been keeping their distance, suddenly stepped forward. If you truly can control this process, the insectoid ambassador clicked, prove it. Show us another way. Without waiting for a response, Tekka extended a chitinous limb toward the sphere. A new filament formed, connecting to the Ardvari ambassador. Tekka, no. Vexare vibrated in alarm. Their genetic structure is incompatible with direct exchange. But it was too late. The connection was made, and Elias felt the Ardvari genetic information flood into the network. It was chaotic, alien in ways the others hadn't been, resistant to integration. Elias staggered under the genetic onslaught, nearly losing his grip on the process. The sphere flared brilliantly, and for a moment, he feared he had lost control completely. Then he understood. The Ardvari weren't incompatible, they were the key. Their unique biology, evolved in extreme conditions, contained adaptations that completed the puzzle. Yes, Elias whispered. That's it. The sphere's pulsations synchronized with the station's failing systems. Filaments of blue energy extended beyond the council chamber, spreading throughout Nexus Station's infrastructure. The light stabilized. The alarms quieted. What have you done? Xintao asked, watching as the energy filaments continued to spread. I'm not entirely sure, Elias admitted. But I think I found a way to communicate directly with the station's systems. The AI moderator's hologram solidified, its features shifting subtly to resemble a blend of all species present. Genetic integration detected. New protocols established. On the screens around the chamber, they could see the Ardvari boarding parties stopped in their tracks, their weapons disabled by the station's suddenly revitalized defense systems. Impossible, Tekka clicked, compound eyes fixed on Elias. You've weaponized our own genetic information against us. No, Elias shook his head. Not weaponized. Harmonized. The sphere between them had changed, its blue glow now shot through with threads of color representing each species in the council. It no longer drew material from anyone, but maintained a balanced flow between all participants. I understand now, Elias said, looking around at the assembled ambassadors. Humans didn't evolve as genetic predators. We evolved as genetic libraries, storage systems for biological information from countless species. But the consumption events in our historical records, Vexare vibrated questioningly. Misunderstood, Elias suggested. Early humans, lacking conscious control, may have triggered unintended genetic exchanges. But the purpose wasn't consumption, it was preservation. The AI moderator announced, Ardvari fleet withdrawing to minimum safe distance. Communications channel open. On the main view screen, the commander of the Ardvari forces appeared, mandibles clicking rapidly. Counselor Tekka, report. Has containment been achieved? Tekka was silent for a long moment, compound eyes still studying the stabilized sphere of genetic information. Finally, the Ardvari ambassador clicked, Commander, stand down. The situation is, not what we believed. Explain, the commander demanded. The human genetic function is not what our ancient records described, Tekka explained. Or perhaps it has evolved. It appears capable of controlled symbiosis rather than consumption. Impossible. The genetic devourers may never have been devourers at all, Tekka interrupted. Our ancestors may have misinterpreted what they witnessed. I have experienced the exchange directly. It is remarkable. The commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been disbelief. You allowed yourself to be infected? Not infected, Tekka corrected. Enhanced. The sphere had begun to shrink, the filaments connecting to each council member gradually retracting. As they disconnected, each ambassador seemed subtly changed, not physically, but in their bearing, their awareness. What happens now? Sasha asked quietly. Elias withdrew his hand from the diminishing sphere, feeling the connection fade but not disappear entirely. Now we renegotiate humanity's place in the galactic community. And the 11 surrenders? Xintao asked, a hint of amusement in her silver eyes. Officially withdrawn, Elias replied with a wry smile. Though I appreciate the vote of confidence. The sphere had shrunk to the size of a marble, its glow dimmed to a soft pulse. Elias plucked it from the air and held it in his palm. I propose, he addressed the council formally, a new research initiative. A collaborative study of human genetic abilities, with full transparency and participation from all member species. You would share this ability? Vexare vibrated in surprise. Even after we nearly went to war over it. Especially because of that, Elias nodded. Misunderstanding almost led to extinction today. Knowledge and cooperation are the only safeguards against repeating that mistake. The AI moderator's hologram, still bearing features of all council species, announced, proposal recorded. Voting will commence once emergency protocols are lifted. Xintao approached Elias, studying the tiny sphere in his palm. You understand that this changes everything? Humanity's status, the balance of power, the very nature of interspecies relations? I'm a diplomat, Elias replied with a shrug. Adapting to changing circumstances is literally in my job description. And apparently, Tekka clicked, approaching cautiously, in your DNA as well. The station's systems were gradually returning to normal. Repair drones buzzed through newly opened service channels. The emergency lighting faded, replaced by the standard illumination. Sasha joined Elias, eyeing the sphere warily. So what exactly is that thing now? Elias closed his fingers around it, feeling it dissolve into his skin. A reminder. Of what we are, what we could be, and what we almost lost today. And what are we, exactly, she pressed. He looked around at the council chamber, at the diverse species who had, just hours ago, either surrendered to humanity or declared war on it. Now they watched him with cautious curiosity rather than fear. We're adapters, Elias said finally. Genetically, diplomatically, culturally. It's what humans have always done best. Xintao made a gesture that the translator interpreted as approval. A fitting assessment, Ambassador Reed. And to think, Elias added, a smile tugging at his lips, all this because I'm allergic to ceremonial pollen. Perhaps, Tekka suggested, mandibles arranged in what might have been the Ardvari equivalent of irony, we should reconsider the use of biological materials in diplomatic ceremonies. Or, Vexare vibrated, humans could simply learn to control their emissions. For the first time since this crisis began, laughter, or its various species-appropriate equivalents, filled the Galactic Council chamber. Elias felt the tension drain from his shoulders. Then he felt an all-too-familiar tickle in his nose. Oh, he said, reaching for his handkerchief. 12 alien ambassadors froze, watching him with renewed alarm. Elias Reed, the human who had caused a galactic incident with a sneeze, who had discovered humanity's true nature, who had averted war and redefined interspecies relations, grinned sheepishly. Just kidding, he said.